Hey, how are you doing, boys and girls? Welcome back to some more Grey Zone Warfare. So today, we're going to go over the good old popular video, which I do every single patch. And I wanted to kind of bring it to all the new people coming into Grey Zone Warfare, where we go over some really useful hints and tips, little quick things that you may not know. And this may also be helpful for even some of the Grey Zone veterans, as things I've talked about on stream, where people have said they had over thousands of hours and still didn't know some of these things. So it could be something for everyone here. Hope you enjoy, but let's get straight into these hints and tips. I'm going to start off this video with one I think most people may not know about. When you're in Fort HQ, and you may have entered in from this way, or from this way, which is the easiest way to get into Fort. It's a lot easier to clear out all the AI here. And I have a video showcasing a loot run where I'm pretty much clearing out most of this, which I'll leave in the pinned comment down below. But did you know, instead of having to go up the ramp here, which can be really, 50-50 on if you survive, because there's a lot of angles and where the AI can see you, but you can't see them, or going up this way too, and then having to take on all of that over here when trying to sneak round, there is another way. Make sure you cleared out a few places. I like to come up on this tower and I use a scope normally to take out the AI over here. Now, the AI is not going to shoot me because we're on the custom server and they can't see me, but I would definitely be using your scope here and just taking out this area here firstly, just to be safe. And it's always worth coming up here to loot and anyway, so make sure you come up here first, and then I'm going to show you this secret entrance to get into Fort without having to really expose yourself going up to the ramp here or going up here. Okay, so you come here, make sure this is all cleared out. You can clear this easily again from the tower. That's why I like this tower as a check spot and safe spot for clearing certain areas of Fort. And we're not going up here. Instead, we're going to go this way. And again, this is why I wanted to be up here first, to clear this area just in case. And then we're going to go up this hill. This is a lot more safer than going up either of the hills here, because we got covered by the building. And if there is any patrols like this one here, we would have spotted him from the tower. So these would all have been taken out if we had to take any of these out. But apart from that one or two guards patrolling here, you'd never get seen. And you just hug the fence here. And you go into this little section right here. Just duck down. Go into the old prone. Now you will get stuck. It will try not to let you through. You just kind of go in at an angle, like so. And then you just press tab a few times, and you'll get in. And then once you're in, you can then obviously clear over here. Again, these would be cleared because we would have used our scope from the tower. They're not going to shoot at me. But, yeah, you would have cleared these from the tower because you have a good view from the tower from here. And when you come in, the only one you normally have to check is an AI sometimes in here. But you're pretty much home free to then come in and get into the HQ this way, which I think is one of the most safest ways of getting into HQ. Did you also know if you want to leave faster and get back the way you came, you can also go over to here, go up on these little bins here, and then jump over like so, and you can get out nice and easy the way you came once you finish whatever mission you do or looting you need to do. Since Madfigure still hasn't given us the ability to label our key pouches or anything in particular, did you know a really good way to keep your keys in order and know exactly which ones contain each keys is I like to label them using spare keys. So on the top here, we can see we've got some spare keys, and each one is kind of labeled. We know the initials here, like BL is Blue Lagoon, HP is Hunter's Paradise, YBL is the bunker, Sawmill is SM. So I know that these are all my Sawmill keys. I know that BP is Bangpa, so these are all my Bangpa keys. Tiger Bay, I know these are all my Tiger Bay keys. This is FN, Fort Narif. These are all my Fort keys. Really, really easy way of labeling your keys. If you're just wanting to quickly go on a loot run to a specific POI, you can then just quickly grab them, pop them in your secure, and then pop them back once you're finished. Talking about stash, did you also know that you can make guns smaller and be able to make them fit a lot easier into gun cases? You can really stash a really large amount of guns in each case instead of having them kind of fit like this and using up 2 slots by 6. To do so with this MCX, just right click and go to inspect, and you just need to take off 2 things. You want to make sure you take off the grip, and you just take off the magazine, and voila, that is now only a 1 slot, which is going to make it a lot easier to fit into weapons cases. Did you know of this cheeky little spot when you're trying to defend a minor cop from other factions? Maybe you only just spawned in, or you're cornered inside the house. There's sometimes in quite a few of them a hut like this. It's just like so. That this is the one which is Warden, just like so. There's also one very similar to this, like in Gator, over near Bang Pa here. If you go inside the house here, come round, and you see these shelvers, you can actually climb up on these, and you can see right down on the door here. I've actually caught out quite a few people just by attacking us, and I'm like, okay, let's see if they can push in, because they can't they'll take the cop until they clear everything. So I can pretty much just hold it right here, they push in, and we can get a free easy kill without really revealing ourselves. So if you also know about this and you're attacking a cop, make sure when you're coming in, you clear the angles just like so, but then you also clear up there, so you can also make sure you get the upper hand against the people who don't know that you know. Did you know that this Meth stimulator stacks? This is something you can get from Lab Rat level 4, and it increases the stamina regeneration rate at a cost of faster hydration drain. Now, this faster hydration drain really isn't that bad at all. Just bringing an extra can of grey with you is completely fine, and this will last up to 5 minutes. But these stack. If you only take 1, you're really not going to notice that much difference, but if you take 4, you're really going to notice a difference, and you can kind of test to see what your happy medium is. I normally overtake 2 if I'm just kind of going about and traveling in between certain places, but if I really want to get regeneration of my stamina, I take 4. Here's the difference. This is without it, so we're just going to run and use up our stamina. So we're coming up now to being tired. Watch how long it takes when I stand still for me to regenerate without any meth. You can see it's taken quite a long time to build back up at the top left hand side. And you're kind of waiting quite a long time. You have to kind of walk to try and get this to just kind of stand up. You can't start running. And you can see it's taking a very long time to climb back up. That's quite a long time. Now, if we now take 4 of these pills, and we'll do the same thing. Now look at it with the 4 stack, how fast it goes up. It is literally zooming up. And we've already recovered our stamina just like so. Really, really handy way of just trying to get around the area fast. You can sprint a lot more for longer. And so it just stops the kind of in-betweens of when you're sprinting, where you're having to wait for your stamina to regen. Really, really awesome. Definitely try the old meth stacking if you didn't know about it. Did you know that the HPR can get you back up from a coma without the aid of another player? This is very handy when you're playing solo. It regenerates up to 50% of your injured organs, and it lasts for 1 minute. It will give you increase in toxins and pain, but what I like to do, if I feel like I'm going to go down and I've got no one around me to get me up, I mainly play solo. I will pop this as I'm healthy, so I've got no organs injured. I will pop this just before a fight, and if I do go down within that minute, this has a good possibility of getting me back up from a coma and carry on in the fight. This has actually got me a few kills before, back in previous versions, where I've charged into a PvP fight with this enabled. Someone downed me thinking I'm down, and I got back up from the fight and killed them. Unfortunately, I haven't got the clip anymore because it was back in the previous versions, but this still works. And I have tested it in 0.3. This has happened, has worked before. Others have also confirmed it. While we're talking about meds, let's go over a few things you may not know, starting with the painkillers. Painkillers actually also stack, very similar to the meth pills we was also talking about. So if you've got an injury to your organs, or double fractures, or a lot of, like, say, medium wounds, taking 2 of these can actually give you more pain release. helping you not make those noises while you're trying to concentrate in the fight. It's the reason why I don't have painkillers on my pockets or in my belt, along with these here, like the splint, bandages, circuit, and blood. These are things you need to apply after a fight. You shouldn't be applying these during a fight unless it's very, very safe to do so and there's no AI or players pushing you. So I never really need to have these in the hotbar. Along with the paracetamol here, I need to take these before a fight. I normally take 1 or 2 of these just before I get into a fight, either pushing a POI, or if I'm into a PvP fight, I definitely take 1 or 2 of these before I get into a fight. And that way, when it comes to actually fighting, if I get hit, I'm not going to be making too much noise, if not any, because I've doubled up on paracetamol, on the stacking, and so I can keep on concentrating on the fight. And the only vital thing which is going to make me go down into a coma is heavy bleeds. That's the double drips or the triple drips. And instead of having, for example, everything here, and then I hold H to try and select what I need to you know, stop the heavy bleed, instead of that, and the reason why I have them out of my way and only have the CT in my pocket is I can just press H straight away, and I can apply that heavy bleed and get rid of that heavy bleed instantly, right? Having to worry about selecting anything. If I'm hit and I need to quickly take cover, I can quickly go around the corner, pop the heal straight away, and then I can get back into the fight and carry on fighting. It's a lot easier than trying to select and scroll down and find what you need. And then once I've finished with the fight and everything's done, I can then go into here and apply whatever I need to do under my health. Did you know once you've cleared a cop, you can tell if the cop is clear of enemies or people camping just by going up to the computer and seeing if it's yellow. If it's grey, it means there's someone about, and people like to camp these computers. If you are in PvP and you want to be a little bit harder target while checking if the area is clear, when you run past it, just swipe like so, and you can just see really fast if the place is clear or not. If it was grey when I swiped past, then I would have not tried to capture the computer and kept on looking for that person maybe camping about. Did you also know that you don't have to use the computer to capture? You can actually go up to the poles, which, for example, Nomad is a lot more safer to do if you clear this area and you don't want to try and figure out what's on over here. You can just go up to it here and just look at the rope area, and then you can actually capture it just like so.
All call signs, we've taken control of Nomad.
When we're talking about major cops, did you know that every single major cop, this is the one where you have the 3 dots, which are all around the place in Le Mans, have these PMC gear crates. They can be gear boxes, they can also be weapon boxes. Inside these can have some pretty decent loot. Looks like we're not as lucky today, but you can get 3++ gear like your Plate 6 carriers and your Phantoms. Also things like 20-inch M4s, really decent MCXs with the customizable MCX buffer tube where you can pop in a stock from the M4. Things like that. Really awesome loot can be found in these. So they're very worthwhile going around and taking and checking these PMC boxes. Did you know that the looking left and right by clicking on the middle mouse button is a very handy feature in PvP and can be used in PvE too? You can use it to really check for dangers without really revealing yourself too much or making yourself a harder target. What do I mean by this? For example, in PvP, maybe there's someone holding this angle like so. You don't know that he's there, but he knows that someone's about and he's ready to shoot anyone peeking the window or the door. Now, maybe I use that trick which we just talked about where we looked at the cop and we know that someone's about, and I'm trying to figure out where he is. Now, if I just look through the window like so, I may die, right? Or if I came around this way to try and peek, I most probably die because I had less reaction time before him. He knows I'm there, I don't know he's there. So a way you can check is by sprinting and looking left and right, using that feature, clicking on the middle mouse button and looking to your left or right. I can actually see in that window and make myself a really hard target. He may even like try and shoot and miss, and I go like this, look around there, instantly peek like so, right? Or I look this way, see him, and then peek through the window and shoot him. Very, very good way of clearing out certain players and AI without really giving yourself that much of a hitbox or target yourself. Did you know you can also safely extract or exit to the main menu when you're a major or minor cop? As long as you're in the vicinity and you can access your vendors, you can actually safely end deployment. This is actually really handy, not just because you can end deployment here having to go back, but say, for example, you're out in the sticks and it isn't an LZ as close as this. I would mostly use an LZ here, but there's certain cops which are really out of the way, or maybe you're all the way across the map here, for example, and I want to go all the way back to around hit this area. Instead of flying back, I can just safely end deployment. And then once you've got back to the main menu, this will basically fast travel you back to the base. So it saves you a lot of time having to travel back and forth. You can just kind of use a major or minor cop just to safely extract, and then you can get all the way back across the map for free without having to wait for a chopper or using up a chopper for someone else. You can just go back and you'll start then, when it loads in, back at the main base, and so it just saves you a lot more travel. Did you know you can cancel most animations in the game? For example, if I wanted to heal, but I maybe selected the wrong thing, I can right click on my mouse and it will cancel the heal. You can also do this when you want to do certain things like checking your ammo. If I just press V, you can see that it checks your ammo. It tells you how much ammo I got, what ammo I'm using. But animation can take a little while sometimes, depending. If you just press V, as soon as you see the number at the top there to check the ammo, I can right-click and instantly check and still be able to fight. Really fast way of checking how much I've got in my magazine and carry on at the fight, instead of either trying to wait for the animation to go or going over and then reloading and just doing so like that. This can't be done with certain things, though. You can't do it with reloads. You can't right-click and cancel. So there is certain things you can't do with it, but it is very handy for cancelling animations. Did you also know that AI will like to push you when you use certain heals? For example, I also like to bait AI to push me using the CT. Sometimes if the AI is not really coming towards me or pushing me, I will just press H to start my heal and then cancel it, and then sometimes the AI will then actually push thinking you're healing, and it gives you the upper hand on taking that AI out. It can also be handy against other players. Say, for example, you're in a fight with someone and they can normally hear this. So if I start using this, they might think I'm healing. I can then bait someone to come over and push me and then actually go and then shoot them. Many people ask me why I don't wear a helmet, and the main reason is for PvP. If you're on PvE, you can kind of wear a helmet and get away with it, because there's going to be some times where the AI are not running the best bullets, and especially like the mid-tier POIs and the starter POI. You will mostly have times where the helmet will save your life, and there is chances of ricochet with the helmets, which can also save your life. Weight doesn't mean as much in PvE, just because you're against the AI. But because I play PvP, that is where it mainly comes down to, is I want more or less weight, because if you look at the helmets here, they're like 1.6 kilograms. The Bonnie here is only 0.14. I like wearing the bandana, which is even weighs less. And the other reason is these stick out like a sore thumb in the forest. You can easily see people running helmets in the forest compared to the Bonnie or a black bandana, for example, which I like to wear. I think the risk/reward to having a random ricochet is much better to wear the Bonnie for me in PvP, because everyone is going to be running better bullets than what this can protect. So most people in PvP are running M855, that's the meta to run, which is M4, and that is going to penetrate any type of helmet you have. And the only thing which is going to protect you is the slight chance of a ricochet depending on the angle. So for me, the pros and cons is to go more lighter and be harder to see than that one slight chance of having a ricochet. I get asked this question all the time: why do I run iron sights and not a scope? I actually run both, and as you can see, I have a Razor scope in my pocket in the task container so I don't lose it. Scopes are one of the most expensive things you can buy for your gun. And so having it on your all times can sometimes get to it being lost. The thing is, you don't need a scope for close range, and iron sights, especially on the M4, is very, very clean, and I can see all around me when shooting. It's very accurate. I can post in, I can take out whatever I need. I'm also a lot more lighter, because if you look at the economics and weapon handling, it's plus 10 and plus 5% for economics and weapon handling. If I pop this on, look at what it does. It actually changes the weapon handling by half, making it a more slower to aim down sight. But when I take the scope off, makes the gun a lot more snappier to aim down sight. So very, very handy for close quarter situations. I can kind of clear places nice and fast, close quarters, with very good clear sight. Also not losing frames, by the way, because when you put these sights on, if you look at my frames at the top right, it's 180 to 190. If I zoom in, it goes now down to 120 frames, losing quite a lot of frames just by using this sight. Again, another advantage of making sure you use the irons, you can have best of both worlds. If you die, you don't lose your scope in close quarters. I don't tend to die at the farther ranges. If I die to a player, most of the time it's due to close quarters, or even AI, it's due to close quarters. I'm not going to lose my scope in close quarters doing this. And then when I need to go into long range, I just quickly drag it on, and now I can do long ranges also with the razor scope when needed to, and I can then inspect and just drag back when I don't need to. Really, really handy little thing you can do if you want to save a bit of money losing the scopes and keeping them as much as possible, while also keeping your frames high and keeping your mobility high when you're in close range. Did you know that some vendors will give you better prices for your high value loot? I've sorted them out in order. I unfortunately haven't found any beverages, some of the kind of wines you would find, but we're going to go through who pays the most for each thing you find here. For example, Handshake will give more for things like cameras. Anything like digital cameras or the Intel or those like hard drives, you want to be selling it to him. He'll give you the most. If you look at Gunny, he's only giving you 105. Labrat's the same, only gives you 105. But Handshake gives them to you for 140. Now, when it comes to the phones, you want to be selling these over to Labrat. She's going to be giving you more for your phones. When it comes to the credit cards and debit cards and also keys, you can sell them over at Artisan. She will actually buy the keys and the prices of your cards will go up. Always worth going for this. Now, when it comes to jewelry, there's a hell of a lot of different types of jewelry. We've got some good examples here. That is Turncoat. He is going to give you the most for them. This is the best way to kind of really build up your bank as most efficient as possible when you're coming to selling the high value loot. Did you know that tags stack? Something I didn't actually realize when I was looting these, and I never used to kind of loot them and sell them, is because they used to take up one slot each. That was until I knew they actually stack up to 4 times. You can actually just drag them on each other and have 4 of these going off as a one by one. This is actually really good for looting, because if you sell these, if you go take them over to Handshake, they're $107 each. So this little one by one is worth $400 if you're selling the whole lot. That's actually really worth.